All right, we will go ahead and get started and people can join us as they are able. We want to first thank you for taking time today out of your schedule to join us as part of our 18th annual circle. We did have to take this year virtual, which has allowed us to do more of a deep dive into each of our program areas. And today's focus is Stepping Stones, which is McLean County's rape crisis program. It serves individuals in McLean County and their families 24/7. We have a hotline, legal and medical advocacy, support groups, counseling, and much more. And you'll hear that directly from the staff that serve our clients. YWCA is on a mission to eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. And we do that through each of our program areas, including Stepping Stones. YWCA is truly for our community, by our community. And when more individuals in our community support our efforts, we in turn can support more individuals and families in our community. We will discuss today each of the facets of Stepping Stones, and we want to remind everyone that coming up in April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and we will have a month of activities and highlights of program services and survivors in our community. We will also be touching on services we provide in local schools, as well as local hospital efforts and ways to volunteer and give back. I am excited to introduce Kelsey, who is the director of Stepping Stones.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kelsey, and I'm the program director for YWCA McLean County Stepping Stones. So today we're going to discuss a little bit about Stepping Stones and the services that we offer to the community. So Stepping Stones was formed in 2002 and is governed by the Illinois Coalition Against Sexual Assault. Stepping Stones only serves McLean County, the largest county by square mile in Illinois. We serve victims of sexual assault, stalking, and their loved ones. Currently, we have 10 volunteers and 13 staff who work directly with our clients and run a 24-hour hotline. So far this year, Stepping Stones staff has served 257 clients, which is amazing since we've been impacted by COVID-19. Go to the next slide. So just to continue on a little bit more about our overview, we offer a lot of services at Stepping Stones. We have trauma-informed counseling, support groups, medical legal advocacy, prevention education, mission trainings, and we offer professional trainings to members and organizations in the community. Most importantly, all of our services are free. Now I'm going to let Audrey introduce herself. She's our coordinator of counseling services, and she's going to discuss more about our counseling program, groups, and even share some survivor stories.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, my name's Audrey. I'm a counselor here as a coordinator of counseling services, and I'm excited to go over some of what we do here. So we offer a lot of different options for counseling. We have individual, family, group, and then couples too. And we also offer services for significant others of survivors. So I think that's something sometimes we don't think of as like, it's not just the survivor sometimes that's impacted, it's also people around them. So we do have clients that come in who maybe it was a child of theirs or their partner, and they want services too on like how they can help and also how it's impacted them. So we offer for all of those. And our groups too, I think is a really important part of the counseling because you get to connect with someone who's gone through a similar experience to you. So individual, even if our clients are in individual therapy, we also do recommend groups so that they can kind of get something out of that too, that they're connecting with other people who have been through a similar experience. But we offer kind of a range of services. We're really client-centered. So we really, I'm not going to be the one to tell the client, when they should stop counseling or, how long they should be here. We have more crisis intervention sometimes where clients come in and they're more, wanting to just get back on their feet and they just need, community resources and they need some help and maybe they come a couple months and that's totally fine. And then we have more long-term clients too. So like I've had clients that I've seen, for a year or so who are continuing to come. And it's really just up to them and whatever they feel like they need. So I like that we're able to offer both of those. And I think each of our counselors kind of gets to have both. So we have some long-term clients and then also some clients that are short-term. And a little bit, I just thought I'd go over a little bit over our staff. So we have 5 counselors, myself included, and we have grown even since I've been here, which has been great. And we usually have 1 to 2 interns that are with us each semester as well. So we do have a pretty good amount of counselors, and then their caseloads are 20 to 25 clients. So, I mean, those are weekly clients that we're meeting with. So you can see that we are reaching, I think, a good amount of people. But even that being said, we have a wait list right now. So that just shows you like the need is still there. And we're always trying to grow however we can to make sure we reach, everybody who needs our services. And the other cool thing about our staff is I think we all kind of have a little bit of a different background and where we're coming from. So like my master's is in psychology and I did more like clinical mental health. And then we have someone else who's master's in psych, but they're life coaching. And then 2 of our counselors are social work, master's social work. So we kind of have a different, background too, which I think is really helpful when it comes to like, hey, I have this client, like I need some help here. What do you suggest? And also for each of the clients, like, we have different counselors who can match up with them. So that's been really cool just to have as a staff, I think, that we're diverse in that way. And then some of the newer services that we're offering. So we do offer EMDR, and that's really helpful. That originally, I don't know if you all know much about that, but if you want to look into it, it's really, really cool. It was originally for survivors of like war and people who had PTSD, and they found that it really helped with eliminating some of those PTSD symptoms. So, flashbacks, triggers, things like that, sleep disturbances. So we were really excited to be able to get trained in that to help with survivors. And right now, 4 of our 5 counselors are trained. So that's been really great that we're able to offer that to clients as well. And I think it really helps them having a different method that they can use if they feel like, they want to do talk therapy one time, do EMDR the next. It's kind of nice to mix that in. So. And we also have a bilingual counselor on staff now, which is great because we felt the need there for Spanish speaking clients. We wanted to be able to meet them where they are. And it's hard when you have like an interpreter coming in, like you're just kind of missing when you can really be there for them in that moment. So having a bilingual counselor has really helped us to serve that population. And she, I believe, has 6 or 7 clients now that are Spanish speaking only, which is great. Like those are people we wouldn't have been able to service before. And she's even come to the hospital before. And it's just, I could tell, because I was on a hospital call one time and I could tell it made a really big difference. Her being able to speak to them directly than having to have like an interpreter there. So it's really great that we're able to do that as well. And we're hoping to, again, build that up and let the community know more that those services are available. And then with COVID, we had to kind of, come up with some new ideas and ways of reaching people. So we do have virtual options now. We're able to video chat with clients and also do phone counseling, which I think has been great. I think that helps us, again, reach people that maybe we wouldn't have been able to previously. I do think it's more of a good short-term option. I still think, we want clients coming in as much as possible, but for people who maybe are sick or even with COVID continuing, like we want to be able to still be there for clients. So we even have virtual groups going on right now, which is great. So that's something we've been able to add as well. And then just a little bit about our clientele. They are very diverse. So some people don't know, we actually do serve children as young as 3 years old and up from there. And, sadly, we do actually have a lot of child clients come here. So we do service a pretty diverse population, which I think speaks to the fact that, sexual assault doesn't just happen in one, socioeconomic status or one area or group of people. It really does cut across any boundaries. So we try and make sure that, we're meeting our clients, whoever they are, wherever they are. And then what Kelsey said, I'm gonna, for the next slide, talk a little bit about some client success stories. And I'm just gonna go ahead and read. So I put up here just some highlights, but I'm gonna go ahead and read just a story because again, our confidentiality is really high, so I don't wanna give anything away. So I'll just stick to my script here, but these are some of the main things for you all to see. So client A, client first presented with issues of anxiety, sleep disturbances, and low distress tolerance. Client felt they were more easily angered and had trouble regulating their emotions. Through psychoeducation about the effects of trauma on our brain and reasons we have the reactions we do, client has grown tremendously in their ability to cope. Client has since highlighted they're sleeping through the night, they feel more present throughout the day, and they have coping skills that aid them in grounding when they become emotionally overwhelmed. And they even told me that they have gone so far as to teach their children these coping skills and have seen an improvement in their emotional regulation as well. So again, just something to keep in mind that, we are progressing with our clients. And then the next one, client B. So this client first presented with issues of low self-esteem, negative self-talk, and struggles with vulnerability in relationships. The client had a history of abusive relationships and was worried that they would never be able to enter into a more healthy relationship. Over time, counselor and client worked on identifying their negative beliefs and why these developed. Slowly, through processing their past traumas, they were able to see how the emotional abuse affected their image of self and allowed the client to begin to heal some of those old wounds. And fast forwarding to now, the client has begun dating someone new, and for the first time, they feel they're in a more healthy relationship. The client has highlighted that they're able to express their needs, set boundaries, and even resolve conflicts in a healthy manner. The client is much more confident in who they are now and believes that through learning what healthy love is, they feel that they now deserve that in a relationship. So just something to end on a positive note, that it is great that we do see clients progressing. And I think it just speaks to how much this work is needed. And I'm just so happy that I get to be a part of that. So, and I'm actually going to hop off because I do have a client coming up, but at the end, my email will be there. And if you have any questions that are related specifically to counseling or anything like that, I am happy to help. So, but I'm going to introduce Jen now. She's the coordinator of advocacy, and she's going to talk to you about that.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jen Galladay, and I am the coordinator of advocacy at Stepping Stones. So I do direct client service as well as supervise our other two advocates and coordinate all of the volunteers. So I'm going to do an overview of all that we do as advocates. So we provide medical advocacy. So that's going with survivors to the hospital when they present with a sexual assault and letting them know what their options are and helping them through that evidence collection kit. We provide legal advocacy, and so that's providing support and options for both civil and legal cases, and then other advocacy, which is providing lots of other resources as needed, and I'll break all those down a little bit further. So with medical advocacy, we provide them with information about the process. So our local hospitals, we have two, the Carl Broman and then OSF, and they'll call our hotline as soon as someone presents with a sexual assault. Let us know that they're there, and our advocates or volunteers have about 20 to 30 minutes to arrive there. And the first thing we do when we get is knock on the door and ask if it's okay for us to enter. So that's kind of like our first step in giving them power back. And if they do want us to come in, we will go ahead and do that and just let them know what to expect. So letting them know what questions the medical staff is going to ask, providing information on the evidence collection kit steps. So that is a really truly invasive procedure that they're about to go through, and letting them know what that's going to entail and letting them know their options so they don't have to go through every single step of that if they don't want to. And so we can help them through that. We can stay with them through the entire process if they want us to. So we can be in the room with them during that kit, or we can step out, go wait in the waiting room. It's really whatever they want. And then providing them with options. So letting them know if they don't have to talk to the police if they don't want to. They can make a report if they do. They don't have to send the kit off for testing right away. It can be stored. So there's just lots of options to consider. So helping them work through their decision making, providing them with safety planning, making sure they have a place to go after they leave the hospital. If they do not, we can provide them with a one-night stay at a local hotel, and then we would follow up with them the next business day to help them find a more long-term safe place to stay. And then, emergency housing assistance, which I just talked about. So then moving on to legal advocacy. So we also then can act as a liaison to the police department and or state's attorney's office. A lot of times people are anxious, nervous, intimidated to call and ask questions about their cases. So we can do that on their behalf if they want us to, or with them. I have a lot of people where we'll make an appointment, they'll come in and we'll make those phone calls together. There as a support person while they're asking those hard questions. We can provide accompaniment to court or go on their behalf. So if their case does get charged in and they're going through status hearings, we will go on their behalf and then just call and give them an update. Those cases can last just a really long time. I don't know if y'all are familiar with how long this takes, but I had one case recently. It was over 2 years of status hearings. So I don't, a lot of times people don't want to go month after month and see their offender sitting in the courtroom just for, small updates. So we go on their behalf. And we can also provide accompaniment to police or detective interviews. So we can meet them at the police station, provide them with support beforehand or afterwards. And then if they needed breaks during it, we can't go in the room with them while they're doing the interview because of our confidentiality, but we can be there throughout the rest of the process. And then we can help do civil no contact orders and stalking no contact orders. So we can file the paperwork for them, and then we can go with them to all the subsequent hearings that happen, and then refer them to Prairie State Legal to get free legal aid and representation on those hearings as well. And some things that we do not do, and I think this is just really important to highlight, that we do not become part of the investigation. We are not there to like get to the bottom of what happened. That's not our role. We are just there to advocate for them, provide them with options, and support them. And we don't make choices for them. I have a lot of times people will ask you, what would you do if you were me? What should I do? And, my answer is always, I'm not you. I don't know what you should do. Let's just weigh the pros and cons. And I'm happy to give them real pros and real cons to all these choices and just help them work through it so they can make that decision on their own. And then never encourage or discourage any particular option. We don't want to make them feel like their choice isn't right. And so whatever they choose, we just support that choice. And then some other things that we can do that people really don't know about, I think, is providing help with crime victims compensation. So that is, you can get up to $27,000 for reimbursement if you're a victim of a violent crime. That goes beyond just sexual violence, it's other crimes as well. But that can be reimbursement for things like medical care as a result of the crime, relocation, counseling services. Ours are free. However, some folks don't only use us, they also see somebody else like a psychiatrist. And so if they're needing that, they could get reimbursement for that. And then the Safe Homes Act. So that is like if you needed to end your lease, if there was credible, imminent threat of sexual violence on your property. So folks can get out of their leases with no penalty and move, which I think is really great. And then the Victim Economic Safety and Security Act, otherwise known as VESA. So that allows employees the right to take unpaid leave without fear of termination from employment to address domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, or stalking. And so that can be used for things like counseling services, counseling appointments, court hearings, getting medical care, things like that. And then additionally, we do safety planning, so assessing safety concerns and providing options, and then just providing other resources to things in the community. So I think, sexual violence is really pervasive in someone's life, and it affects lots of things that people maybe don't even really realize. And so we have folks that have a lot of, and we just really try to help them get whatever it is, whether it's through us. So we have things like clothing if they need it. We provide clothing to both of our local hospitals as well. We have like our food bank every month, and we actually have one of our advocates, Alicia. She's wonderful throughout COVID. Some people who don't have transportation to come and get food from our food bank, she's actually been delivering it to people. And that's just like showcasing one thing and one time where someone's going above and beyond. And I think all of our advocates really do that. We try the best we can to get them whatever it is that they need. And I always tell the clients, like, no ask is too large. If you need help with something, just let us know and we will do our best to find it. Another community resource is Two Men in a Truck. We have worked with them a couple of times, and they have moved some of our clients and relocated them at no cost, and which is just amazing. And I think, we're all working together as a community. We have these folks out there that are helping our clients, and it's just great. So yeah, that is all about advocacy. It's really broad. We do a lot of things, and I think a lot of times people don't realize how much we can do for people. So it's great to be able to share that with you all, and I will pass it back to Kelsey.
Thank you, Jen. I am just going to touch base a bit on our education and professional training side of things. So as I stated in the beginning, Stepping Stones offers education and training opportunities to students in McLean County, community members, and other professionals. In regards to prevention education, we have fully trained educators go into local schools such as Unit 5, District 87, some of the rural schools like Olympia, and many others to present on Aaron's Law. Aaron's Law requires that all public schools in each state implement a prevention-oriented child sexual abuse program. This program allows our staff to educate students K through 12 on age-appropriate techniques to recognize child sexual abuse and how to tell a trusted adult. Each lesson is based on the age range of students. For instance, elementary students will learn about safe and unsafe touches, while high school students will learn about healthy relationships. In addition to prevention education, Stepping Stones offers mission impact trainings. These trainings are on an array of topics from women's rights to homelessness and LGBTQ plus issues. We offer these trainings at least twice a month. Furthermore, Stepping Stones staff offers professional trainings to community organizations. These trainings tend to focus on sexual assault and our additional mission-related topics. Oftentimes, we take pieces of our in-depth 40-hour training, break it down, and hone in on certain topics of interest. The hope is that offering these trainings will help other professionals better identify, understand, and support survivors of sexual assault. So that is our presentation about Stepping Stones. We just wanted to thank you all so much for learning more about our program, the services we offer. I've left all of our contact information on this slide. Please feel free to reach out to either Audrey, Jen, or myself with any questions. And then I'm just going to pass it back to Alicia.
Thank you so much. I do see some questions here in the chat, and we will definitely get to that. I did want to reiterate that, again, Sexual Assault Awareness Month is next month, and we do have a variety of events taking place, and you're welcome to join us. We are doing those in a virtual capacity due to COVID. That we sound like a broken record due to COVID. And so we just want to make sure that we are still doing justice for those who have been in our program, those in our community, those who are survivors, those who deserve to have their voices heard. So we will not allow COVID to take away from us honoring those voices and what needs to be done. So I will just go through a few things that we are doing. On Tuesdays in April, we'll be wearing teal shirts. I'm wearing one from last year. We did have it available this year as well. It says Believe Survivors. You don't need to have this shirt or one that we had for sale, but on Tuesdays in April, teal is a sign of solidarity with Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So anything you have teal, anything you can share in social media to really get out the awareness. And like Audrey mentioned earlier, really dispelling that myth that sexual assault impacts one specific type of individual, socioeconomic status. The media likes to paint that as, a 22-year-old white college student, female, that type of idea. But a reminder that we do serve as young as age 3, all the way through individuals to end of life. And so we just want to be a source of truth and dispelling myths in that way. We will also be working on the Clothesline Project. On April 10th, we will have a virtual Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. April 13th, we have a virtual Take Back the Night. We will also be working on our Teal Rock project, and we will have a trivia night taking place at the end of the month on April 29th. And we just want to make sure that it will be at no cost. We want to make sure that we have information in people's hands who can then share that with people who might not know otherwise. When we know better, we do better. And that is a big part of what we do in Stepping Stones, is really educating our community, educating our society, and really working to dispel rape culture, because it's more pervasive than we think. We are really raised to believe that it's what she wore, it's where they were, it's what they said, and it's none of that. And so that is what Stepping Stones is also here to really make sure is said loud and clear. I also really want to touch on pandemic response. And we did have a few comments from our staff about how we've had to take things in a virtual capacity and really get creative. But not being a Stepping Stones employee personally, though a YW employee, and I realized I didn't introduce myself either. All the coffee, Alicia Whitworth, and I'm the Director of Philanthropy. And so things like 2 Men in a Truck, being able to be kind of that connecting piece in our community. So staff who are client facing say, we have these needs. And then I work with individuals and businesses in our community to ensure that we can meet those needs. And I will say it again, 2 Men in a Truck has been a phenomenal community partner, and I can't say it enough. They all but drop everything. And if we have a client in crisis, This isn't, and I've tried, I can recognize you in this way. Would we want to do this? And it's truly from the bottom of their hearts, just goodness. And they make themselves available. They don't just fit us into their schedule. They make their schedule work for our clients. They have done a move for us for one of our clients as far away as Springfield. And that means using another one of their locations even. So I do really believe wholeheartedly in thanking our community partners, especially those who, they're doing it altruistically. They're not doing it so that they can have fame and awareness and business. They're doing it because they want to give back. So, and then our staff really fall into that same boat. In the beginning of the pandemic, if you can just think back a year ago, if you couldn't find toilet paper, paper towels, Lysol, bleach, all of the things, let alone masks, our clients really couldn't either. There was a comment made that we have staff bringing food bank items to individuals who do not have transportation. If you can imagine yourself lacking transportation at the onset of a pandemic, maybe you have children, you don't have masks, you have a very limited income base, and you have exactly enough money to buy one pack of paper towels, one set of wipes, all these things, and you get there and the shelves are wiped clean. So now you've potentially exposed your entire family. You don't have the means to get back there again, maybe for 2 weeks. And you don't have enough. So we really had our community show up, and my husband joked for a while that our front porch looked like a local store. We had people dropping off things at all hours. And neighbors would say, "Hey, Alicia, you've got more paper towels out there." So we really had things that are not our typical in-kind needs for our clients and stepping stones. We were trying to find items like baby formula, pull-ups, wipes, things that we had shelves cleared, and we had staff members who would be at different stores texting each other and saying, "I've got wipes at Walmart. I have pull-ups at Jewel Osco on Oakland." These different places trying to help our clients make those ends meet. And all the while, when no one could get their hands on masks, when people were having masks because they accidentally found one in a building operations closet somewhere tucked in a corner, we had staff entering our local hospitals with no PPE to ensure that these clients were served. That is just the epitome of selflessness, and I don't think that it gets said enough. So when we are thinking about essential personnel and we are thinking about those who have really sacrificed themselves to ensure that others had what they needed, I really believe that our Stepping Stone staff need a pat on the back as well. And so thank you to everyone who is attending today, I see some names and I'm like, you gave formula and you helped donate masks, and it really, really was critical. And we were also able to get masks directly in the hands of our clients who couldn't find them. I mean, there was an elastic shortage. There were no masks to be found anywhere. I mean, medical offices couldn't get their hands on them. Our local hospitals had none to share. Their own staff were reusing them at that time. So it really, really takes a village. And my comment earlier that YWCA is truly for our community, by our community, and our community has really stepped up and allowed us to continue serving our clients in the way that is necessary. And as Audrey mentioned earlier, we don't say this is how is necessary. Our clients tell us what they need, and then we work diligently to ensure that we can meet those needs. So thank you, and thanks to each of our staff who really have made that possible. And we've done a lot of things that I think 14 months ago, everyone would have said, never. We will never do that. We don't have a need. That's so out there. But really, it felt like every other day for a minute, we were really needing to shift how we were serving and what we needed and where we were going. I refer to it as emotional whiplash, and yet everyone continued showing up and doing exactly what was needed. And that was able to happen because of supporters in our community just like you. So all of that to say, thank you. And we truly cannot do our work without everyone in our community supporting these efforts. I do see some questions in the chat. And after I read through those, if you do feel comfortable and you would like to ask your question live, you're welcome to do so. So we will go through here, and staff who are in the specific area and can answer these questions will do so, but we'll just go one by one. Becky has asked, what is the training for advocates? And as a non-Stepping Stone specific counselor myself, I went through this training, and I will allow someone else to talk about it. But I went through this training myself last summer, and I truly feel like our world would be a better place if everyone went through this training. I considered myself to be, fairly educated on the different aspects, and I will say that I was ill most days, just nauseated at all of the information and all of the trauma, but also really empowered at language given and information shared, and my ability to hopefully be what someone else needed in their moment, really. So this training is really, how can we fill the gap for someone? And I will let one of the Stepping Stone staff tell you more about that.
Okay, I'll jump in. So we do a 40-hour training, and we do it usually 3 times a year, depends on if there's new staff. So we do the volunteer training about 3 times a year. And that one's usually broken down over the course of a month. So you're not getting 8 hours of sexual assault information a day, but sometimes we do it that way. It just depends. So you can either do it through us, ICASA, which is our governing body. They also offer that training, so we can go through the training with them. And then advocates specifically have a separate training that they do through ICASA that really informs and breaks down a lot of the different areas that we focus on. So really in-depth training on the medical advocacy pieces and the legal advocacy pieces as well. And if you're all interested in doing the volunteer training, just let me know.
Jen, when does the next training start?
It probably won't be until June is my guess. I'm hoping that we'll get to do it in person. It's just a lot better, more effective, I think, in person. We've been doing it virtually. We've done quite a few actually over the last year, which has been kind of one of the silver lining. We've been able to do more of them because we don't have to be in person. It's just easier to get everybody to do it virtually. But my guess, if we get a lot of applications, I kind of just tend to go off of how many applications I'm getting. If we're getting a lot coming in, I'll schedule it sooner. If it's just really, they're not coming in, then I'll kind of like push it back. So my best guess would be June. And it's usually on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, and then Saturdays, full days.
Perfect. And I think we have mentioned the term ICASA quite a few times. I'm not sure if we've spelled that out. Can you tell me what ICASA is? Everyone else here as well?
Oh yeah, it's the Illinois Coalition Against Sexual Assault.
Which is also sometimes confused with CASA, and they are 2 separate entities. So just wanted to make that clear for anyone in the audience who might not have been aware of the difference. And then, so Jen, say I am now 40-hour certified. What do my volunteer opportunities look like?
So typically the volunteers do the hotline. So they will run our 24-hour hotline overnight. So starting at like 5 p.m. on weekdays to 8 in the morning, and then full days on Saturdays, Sundays, and the holidays. And so they're answering the crisis calls if someone calls in crisis, or just sometimes people call for information on our services overnight as well, and providing that to them. And then staff members will follow up the next day. They also respond to hospital calls that come in after hours and on the weekends. They can also do like training or education if they want to. I'd say typically folks really just sign up to do the hotline and the hospital calls.
Here's also a question from Mary DeLorto, and the question is, how do referrals get differentiated between you and ABC Counseling? And I will let one of the staff answer that as well. There we go, Kelsey.
So with our program and our services, Stepping Stones are the sexual assault advocates that go to the hospital. So a lot of our referrals that come from the hospital from those hospital calls. And so that's like the main thing that stands out to me as far as getting referrals, since we're there with the client. And yeah.
Also, ABC Counseling is not funded by ICASA. And so they are they're an alternative for counseling. They're another counseling source in our community. And with our waitlist as well, mental health is critical, and we are glad they exist. But like Kelsey mentioned, the majority of our referrals do come from local hospital visits, and Stepping Stones is McLean County's rape crisis program, and does have a 24/7 hotline as well. And so those would be the main differentials there. I have a question from Deborah Lindbergh. Can someone speak in general about some of the coping mechanisms that are offered or taught in counseling?
Sure. So some of those It's like identifying triggers, grounding techniques, identifying people who can be that support system. And really it's just kind of working with that client and figuring out what works best for them.
Are there any services provided to those on the wait list?
Yes, there are. So we can continue to do advocacy services for them. They can also call the hotline at any time. That's always available. So if someone's in crisis, they still have access to a person to talk to. I'm trying to think what else we could, like really anything else other than having a counselor, any of the other services that we provide, they would still be able to utilize.
I think something else that hasn't been mentioned in terms of community partnership is that we also work, we've mentioned 2 Men in a Truck, helping our clients physically move their belongings if in crisis, but we also do work with clients to help them find temporary lodging if they are experiencing crisis and unable to leave their existing home. So I did want to mention that as well. And we do rely on a local community partner who works with us in that capacity as well. I see another question. How does the YWCA maintain a racially diverse group of advocates, knowing some may feel more comfortable relating to those who can relate to their lived experiences?
Yeah, I think that we try to promote our volunteer training throughout the community so that we're accessing, like they know that these volunteer opportunities exist so that we can have that, because it's very important. And we strive to do that. And I think we accomplish that. And I think we could do a better job, to be very honest. I really do think that we need to be more diverse on our staff and with our volunteers. I think especially the volunteers, but it's something that we are trying to be intentional about, thoughtful about, and trying to incorporate.
Agreed. And one of those ways is the addition of our bilingual counselor. The comment was made earlier in discussing that, but we realized that it was necessary. We were having an increased number of Spanish speaking clients, and we make every effort to not re-traumatize survivors of sexual assault. And so imagine having to basically either hear or tell your story twice. So we wanted to remove the translating individual, to be able to have everything with just that advocate and the client themselves. So absolutely. And feel free to share this training opportunity with anyone and everyone you know, all of your networks, all of your organizations. We do want that to be shared wide and far to ensure that we do have as diverse of a pool of volunteers and staff as absolutely possible.
Does ISU still offer rape crisis services? I remember 1,000 years ago they did, and I didn't know if they do. How does the Y partner with them, or maybe they don't anymore? I don't know.
I think that they do still. I mean, they have their Title IX departments. They can go and make a complaint there, and they sometimes refer, the Title IX department will refer the student to us for additional support. I have been to a couple different Title IX hearings. They also have their own counselors, and their counselors actually did go through our 40-hour training this past December to be more trauma informed in their approach. They're not specific to, they're not specifically sexual assault counselors, but they are trying to get some more training to be able to address that area. And they know about us. So hopefully if they really felt there was a need for them to come and see us for additional counseling, they would refer, and they do on occasion. And then knowing that we offer other services besides just counseling, that, there's other needs that a survivor has other than counseling.
Are there any other questions? Give people just a second if they would like to unmute. And just a reminder that if you do have a question that you're not comfortable asking either in the chat or live, you are welcome to email any of our staff members, and they will address your questions in a completely confidential manner. And we will put those emails up here on the last slide. That way you have those, and also they will be included in a follow-up email that I will send with a little bit of information should you wish to learn more, should you wish to sign up for a 40-hour advocate training or anything else. And I do, again, want to thank you for being here today, for asking your questions, and for being open to learning. I thought it was a question, but thank you so much. And with your help, YWCA will not stop until the world sees women, girls, and people of color the same way we do, which is equal, powerful, and unstoppable. Thank you so much. And we hope that you'll join us this Friday at 11 a.m. for our keynote with Angel Howard.